Welcome to We Wine Whenever. Grab your glass and join 3 Jersey Shore housewives, Wendy, Kelly, and Lori, as they dive into everything from Bravo drama to life's everyday chaos. It's unfiltered, it's hilarious, and it's the real talk you've been waiting for, from relationship to pop culture. We drink wine whenever, and we hope you do too. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star review. Cheers! Hi, welcome to We Wine Whenever. I'm Wendy.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Lori.
How are your allergies doing, Lori?
Much better. Very
Sound
happy.
better.
Much
You
better.
do sound better.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
And I think once you get to Florida, you will
I'll be
feel
better.
tremendously better because there's no pollen down there, right?
Right. And I was actually outside today with a T-shirt on, like a
V-neck?
like a Fila, like a, activewear kind of material outside. And it had like a whole green, yellow haze on it from all the pollen. It was absolutely disgusting. I was like, ew. I'm just walking around and now my whole shirt has like this yellow-green haze of dust on it. Lovely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
gross.
That's
I
what's
was so
going on.
happy when I left the salon today. Literally, Debbie and I were the last ones there. We said goodbye. We got in our cars and it started pouring.
Oh, yay. Free car wash. You're always so happy.
And
when
I
that
was so happy because I actually just took my car to the car wash 2 days ago because it was awful.
happens.
And I don't regret it because I did the inside and everything. But today, when I walked out this morning, I'm like, oh my God, it was covered in pollen again. So when it started pouring, I was like, oh, good.
So, interesting thing, yesterday when I was at work at like 3:30, it started monsooning. And I was on the phone with Bill at the time. So he ran outside and said, "Look, I'm working on all this stuff outside. Like, let me get it done real quick." So he ran around like a lunatic, but then it never rained here.
I was going to say, because I worked from home yesterday and I don't
It
ever
didn't-
remember it raining.
It didn't rain here. So my
So
car got
funny.
cleaned yesterday. And then I went out today to take Matt to get his hair cut at like 3:30 or 3:00 ish, and it started pouring, right?
Mhm.
So I was like, oh, okay. We finished getting his hair cut. It was done raining. We were in Wall. And then we went to Target and Costco, and we came home, and my car is completely covered in pollen.
Yeah.
Again.
Already. It's like, this is insane.
It's crazy. It's
Really?
crazy. My kids are a mess.
Yeah.
All right,
Tess
that's
won't
our
take
NJ
allergy
bitch.
medicine.
Yeah.
That's our
Joe's like,
NJ
can I
bitch.
take another one? I'm like, no, you can only take one a day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like enough.
Yeah.
All right. But we're going to talk about today Scamanda.
Yeah.
It's a 4-part docuseries. And
On
the
Hulu.
first one on Hulu.
Right?
That's
On
correct.
Hulu. Yeah.
I think it was
You know,
originally.
Actually, ABC, is that what you were
Yes,
going to say?
ABC. Yes.
Yeah,
Originally
because
ABC.
I just said Scamanda in my remote and it brought up ABC.
Yes.
4 parts, 4 episodes, but it was through ABC.
Yes. So the first one is called Stage 1, Perfect Wife, Perfect Life. And we get to meet a little bit of Amanda Riley. At this point, they're saying that she's the poster child for the church. She grew up in California in the San Francisco area, and she met her husband, Corey, and he had a daughter from a prior marriage. And Lisa, wait, who's Lisa?
Lisa and Steve were the friends, the older couple that
yes.
they became friends with through the daughters.
Yes,
Right,
that's
yeah.
correct. Yes, because I watched this like probably a month and a half ago.
Mhm.
Yeah. The daughters became friends in grade school.
Mhm.
Yes.
And
Okay.
then the daughters became friends. And then Amanda and her husband,
Corey.
became friends with this couple, Lisa and her husband, Steve. Yeah. And they were older than Amanda, because Amanda ends up being 12 years younger than her husband, Corey.
Yes.
So I know we'll wait to get into it, but I got to be honest with you. I watched the first episode. I'm like, all right. I mean, thank
Yeah.
God they were only 40 minutes because I'm like, I don't think we need 4 of these. However, once we get to the episode, how we find out how Amanda and Corey met, I was
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
I was locked in.
Yes.
Yes.
And
exactly.
that might have been in the 3rd episode. I don't know. Whatever episode it was, I was
Yeah.
locked in after that. But
Yeah.
we'll get there.
Yeah, we will get there.
Because
and
I kind of like how they did this, how we didn't know that right away.
No.
Yeah. No,
You
we
know?
didn't know that. We did not know that. So the church that she was going to was the Family Community Church, the FCC, and it was a 5,000 person congregation. That's
Which is
considered like
big.
a mega church.
Yeah,
I
What's
would
up?
that's
like to
mega
go to
church.
those one time. Like, it's like you're at a rock concert.
Oh,
What the
yeah.
girls say, it's like you're at a
Yeah,
rock
yeah,
concert, but
at a
for
rock concert.
Jesus. Like, I'm
Right.
into it. I wanna
I'm
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So in 2012, she was promoting the FCC on social media. Like I said, she was like the poster child for the church. She was
Yeah.
like
She
their,
was like their social media
yeah,
creator.
she was very active in the church community. And then all of a sudden, she was diagnosed with cancer. So she started this blog. It was called My Story, Our Journey, Hodgkin's Lymphoma.
Now, she had a baby and days later she was diagnosed, correct? Like,
Well,
she had her son.
right. Well, the timeline goes like this. I'm not sure of the dates exactly. She and her husband become friends with this older couple.
Lisa and Steve.
Yep. And they have a daughter the same age. Like I said, we said they meet
Mhm.
in school. They become friendly and they have this party. And at the party,
But we didn't get there yet.
right. But I'm just saying, what it turns out is that she told this couple that she had cancer 2 years before she ever started that blog.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So the blog was in I guess 2012. And that blog blew up very quickly. She wanted to be inspirational. So then this friend Lisa started seeing what Amanda was posting and something didn't seem right. So Stephanie, this girl Stephanie was a follower of the blog. Penny was a longtime American Cancer Society volunteer. Which one was Penny?
Penny was the older woman with the blonde hair,
Yeah, she had her
right?
hair kind of up in a bun. Yeah, so we
Okay.
just, during this first episode, you just get introduced to all kinds of people that Amanda has come in contact with and people who are very supportive of her
Right.
in
Right.
different ways. Like the one girl always donated her platelets, other people.
Gosh, that
Yeah.
girl. Oh, yeah.
There was one lady who just, sent, put on for like a reoccurring $500 a month gift
Monthly.
Yes.
to Amanda. So you just meet all these different people who
People.
are involved that support her in different ways.
So she
Lynn's
was
yeah.
giving testimony on stage at the church, like on stage about how she had cancer. And, everybody was like, sitting on the edge of their seats about how, remarkable she was and how positive she was.
And not only that, said it was terminal cancer.
Yes. Yeah.
Over and over and over
And
again
over.
said it.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
years.
For
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
So then you're right. She did get pregnant. And then her friend Rebecca was like her photographer. She did her wedding and her pregnancy photos. And then she announced she's pregnant and the cancer is back.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So she got married, started, went to the church, blah, 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 had a baby right after the baby was born, I think, is when the first time she said, well, not the first time, like Lori
Right.
said,
Right.
she had told Lisa 2 years prior.
Right.
But that's when she announced to the church and started the blog.
Right.
Or maybe
And
it was
then
when she found out I can't remember. But then she gets pregnant again with a second son.
Yes.
so while she's at church, she also said that she felt dizzy.
Mm.
And then she got up and then she fainted.
Supposedly.
And yes. And they go and they get, no, she fainted and urinated on herself at the same time, simultaneously.
And everybody prayed.
And they all put hands over
laid
her
hands on her and prayed.
and prayed for
That's
her.
why she was pregnant when that happened.
Right. With the second one, right?
Well, the
believe.
second son was born in April of 2014. Again, so 2012, we have the first one, and then 2014, the second one was born. Again, it's kind of, they weren't clear about this whole timeline, to be honest with you.
That's what I was
Yeah.
trying to figure. Yeah. Okay. It doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So,
No, because she just kept saying she was in it, she was in remission, then it came back and she was in remission, and then she got pregnant, and then
right.
the pregnancy sent the cancer into remission, like all this back and forth and back and forth and back.
Right, because so she must have announced it the first time to the church with her first son, because when she got pregnant with the second son, everybody was like, "Well, what's gonna happen now with your cancer?" "Oh,
Right.
well, my doctor said I can stop treatment," which
Right.
is I mean, I don't know for
No,
sure, but it
no, but
doesn't
no,
sound right.
no,
Right.
no. So that friend, Rebecca, the one that did the wedding photographers, she's the one who all of a sudden started donating the $500 a month.
Right.
And her website was a place, Amanda's website was a place where you could go and donate. And, that's where her blog was. At one point, the pastor brought Amanda and Corey up on stage, and they were giving a love offering, and the entire church's offering from that service,
Mhm.
people were just throwing money on stage, just
Yeah, they
literally
said, like,
throwing cash.
he asked for $1 per family, but people were just throwing money up. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
could you imagine a
No.
5,000 person church? Just
No.
right.
everybody throwing money up there?
No.
Yeah, I cannot imagine. I can't. Then Lisa and Steve, we find out, had ended their relationship with Amanda and Corey, and she started seeing things on the social media was where like Chili's was doing this fundraiser and 20% of all the purchases in 4 restaurants were going to Amanda Riley, and she started seeing the hashtag Team Amanda was everywhere. And that's when we find out that she said the year she told me about the cancer was 2010.
Mhm.
2010. And the year she was first diagnosed with cancer was 2012.
Mm.
Lisa knew
According to her
then,
blog.
right. Lisa knew then that, something wasn't right with Amanda.
Yeah, and she tells the story how, she used to pick Amanda's daughter up from school, and her daughter would play together.
Right.
And Amanda had asked Linda, right, to
Lisa.
watch
Lisa.
Lisa to watch her daughter while she went and had a procedure done. And she came after the procedure, Amanda, and
Fluid being drained from her
she had a
brain.
Band-Aid behind her ear.
Yeah.
And the girl asked her, "Oh, what happened? What kind of procedure did you have today?" She said, "Oh, they just, took some fluid off my brain," and then proceeds to like dive
Jump in the
under the
pool.
water and, swim about like a little mermaid. And that's when the lady was like, "I don't think so." And then
And she asked them for money.
come to find out that she had said that she needed this, I don't know, some kind of procedure, and that
Blood
if she
was it a
didn't
blood test?
yeah, some kind of testing or something, that if she didn't have it done right away, something blah, blah, blah would happen. So these
Yeah.
people ended up giving them a large sum of money in order to do this specific type of testing.
Yeah, it was a blood test.
Yeah. So that was in August of 2011. So in 2010, they told her that Lisa and Steve that she had cancer, right? And then August of 2011, Steve had a birthday party for Lisa, and Corey told them that Amanda had this stage 4 cancer and that she had 6 to 12 months to live.
Mhm.
And Steve lost his first wife to breast cancer, so they were devastated when they heard
Yes.
this news.
Yes.
Like
She hadn't
anybody would be.
exactly. She had fought it for 8 years, so he knew what the, cancer fight was going to look like.
Mhm.
So that's when they started making themselves really available for Amanda's stepdaughter, Corey's daughter. And Lisa starts saying, like, why aren't her parents around if she's so sick? Like, why isn't her mother around? And then, like you said, the blood test was where they asked her the money. She gave her the money, even though she felt awkward about it. But after the whole pool incident, that's where she immediately said this wasn't right. And, you know, that's, I guess, when they ended their friendship at
She
that
stopped
point.
taking her calls. She
Yes.
stopped taking her calls, and then Lisa reached out to no, Amanda reached out to Lisa's niece.
Yeah.
Amanda starts calling her niece.
That's right. Right.
And
Yeah.
so finally Lisa picked up the phone, let her talk, and then hung up and never talked to her again.
That's right. Right. That's right. And
And then in 2015, Lisa starts reading Amanda's blog and saw the fight song video.
that fight song really got her when she saw that. When she saw the video
Yeah.
of the family with the anthem fight song playing and all these people holding up signs, Team Amanda. And then Lisa gave the video a thumbs down
Yes.
and called a few friends and asked them to give it a thumbs down also.
Yeah.
Then Amanda wrote a blog post about, about that, and that she she knew it bothered her. So like she accomplished kind of what she wanted to, then all of a sudden we find out there's this investigator, an investigative producer, Nancy Muscatello, and that's 2015. So let's think about this timeline. Lisa finds out in 2010, or she's told in 2010. It's not finding out. Lisa's told in 2010. Then in 2012, she announces it the first time, right? And then in 2014, it's back again. And then in 2015, this investigative producer, she starts looking into this story because she received an email.
Put something on Facebook on a post and was like, I'm just looking for stories, this type of thing. And Lisa saw it and responded. Now, Lisa also mentioned that when she and Amanda first became friends back in 2010, she had told Amanda about a friend in the community
Yes.
who had cancer, and they did a big fundraiser for this person. And then days later, Amanda tells her she has cancer.
Right.
Yeah.
But you don't know that. And like, I really like the way they did this because they paint this picture of Amanda. And then at the end of the first episode, you start to learn what Lisa said. Like, well, she told me this in 2010.
Right.
But we just heard that she announced it to her church in 2012 that she was just diagnosed, right? I think I want to say it was right after she gave birth to her son.
Yes. And so, Nancy started doing investigation on this story, and she was saying that, she had this source, which we know was Lisa, and that she wanted to remain anonymous. Okay.
Yeah, Lisa wanted to remain anonymous.
That's the end of episode 1. The next episode is called Stage 2, all about Amanda. And now we're in the summer of 2015, and Lisa sent Nancy an email. Nancy had a sister that died of cancer at a young age and also a mom of 2 like Amanda. So that's when they started communicating, and it really hit home for her because, it happened to her sister.
Right.
Lisa had mentioned in past, you just said that about the fundraiser.
Yep. And then I have in my notes the next day after she told her about the fundraiser for the gentleman in the community. The next day, Amanda said, I have cancer.
Yes. I have that too. So she said from 2012 on, it was all lies. It was already 3 years of pictures and blogging about her journey because now it's 2015. Nancy said it was very important for her to pick apart the blog. So she had to go through 3 years of blogs and looked at everything she put down in the blog, all the pictures that went with it, where she said she was, what she said she was doing. And she fact checked the first 3 years. And I don't know how long that took, but then all of a sudden she's now watching it in real time. Now she's, caught up with that. She fact checked it. And one of the things that she found is that when she's doing it in real time, the clinical, like she was talking about a clinical trial, and they're not that hard to fact check. And
Nancy reached out to an expert to help her fact check all of that.
And one of the clinical trials was, I don't remember what hospital it was at, but she called the hospital, and of course the hospital couldn't say whether or not somebody was involved in the clinical trial, but they were able to say that clinical trial did not happen at that hospital for that specific thing.
Right.
So,
and Amanda was saying, not only that, but Amanda was saying that she did that clinical trial and then went home. And then when she went home, the doctor told her that she could continue doing this drug called Keytruda, which is an IV cancer medication, that she could do it at home. And then Amanda posted online
through her pick line.
Right. Pictures of the drug, the bottle turned just a certain way.
Yes.
Then a stock photo of Keytruda and a picture on her counter with all these syringes and tubes and blah, blah, blah. So again, come to find out, this investigative reporter talked to some people and they said, no, you can't do that. Like, that's not how that drug works. So not only was there no clinical trial going on in New York at all, which her whole trip to New York got paid for.
Exactly.
From donations.
Yeah.
supporters. So there was no trial, and the drug wasn't even available to be administered the way Amanda
Right.
was
You couldn't
saying
take it.
was
You
to be
can't do a
administered.
clinical trial from your house.
No.
Any clinical trial has to be closely monitored.
Yeah.
Right.
And even the medication that she was saying that was being used is not a medication that you could self-administer anyway, even if it wasn't for a clinical trial.
Nobody thought, I mean, I guess, if it's certainly somebody in your church, you're not going to check. You're just not going to check.
You're not going to
You're
check
just
if it's
going to keep
somebody in your
praying for
church.
them.
Right.
That's all.
And that was the situation. Like Nancy was afraid to reach out to anybody in the church because it's say someone doesn't have cancer and you're wrong. Like you have to really make sure that you know what's going on.
Right. And not only
So
that, she went to extensive lengths to make this whole entire blog seem plausible.
yeah.
She explained in detail her disease. She explained in detail her treatments. She had pictures. She pulled on heartstrings. She made an extreme effort with this blog. It was not just she posted some shit up there. She really, she played it to the hilt.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So then Nancy somehow found out Corey's ex-wife's name, and she found her Etsy profile.
This is where I was hook, line,
Yes.
and sinker.
Yeah. So this is episode 2 we're still in, right? This is episode 2.
I knew it was early on because the
Yeah.
first episode, I'm like, all right, it's only 40 minutes, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we need 4 of these. But
Right.
as soon as I was like, plot twist.
Yeah. So she reaches out to her, and she really didn't have too much to say. All she said was, I don't have a lot to say, but she said, I know they lie a lot.
They lie about everything.
Yeah. So her name, the ex-wife, is Alida or Aletta?
It's spelled
Alida.
Aletta, but it's pronounced Alida.
Alida. Okay.
Yes.
Beautiful name.
It is
Beautiful
a beautiful
name.
Beautiful
So
name.
in 2002, Alida met Corey playing pool, and they started dating. Then she got pregnant with Jesse, and then they got
Jamie.
married.
Jamie.
Amy, that's
Oh,
right.
no, you're right. She
Wait,
had
Jessie.
Jamie. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Yes.
I think it's Jessa, and she had Jamie from a prior relationship.
Jamie was
I'm
7
sorry.
years old. Yes. Jamie
Yes,
was
you're
7
right.
years old when her
Yes.
mom and Corey met.
Yeah. Sorry.
And
So
then she got
was
pregnant with the Jessa.
So she was like her sister Jamie was excited to know that she was going to have a little sister, and Jamie was very sick.
She had
Her daughter,
cancer.
yes. So when Alida was 9 months pregnant with Jessa, Jamie was diagnosed with the leukemia, non-Hodgkin's leukemia, which at 7 years old, like
Horrible.
that's horrible.
Awful.
So then we see Jamie. We get to meet Jamie now. And she said she remembers the first time that she held her little sister. And because she was so sick and she wasn't able to go out and see people. So Jamie was kind of isolated at home because because her white blood cells were low. So they didn't want her around other people. So then Alida hired Amanda.
Her sister.
Right. Her
sister like owned a
introduced them.
gym.
Right. Her
Yeah.
sister, that's where she met her. So it was
Yeah.
Alida hired Amanda, but she met her through her sister who had met her at a gym.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
To come in to spend time with Jamie because Jamie was doing dance and, couldn't cheerleading and couldn't go out, right? Couldn't go out and be around a lot of people. And she wanted to make sure that, she was taken care of. So Amanda was 17 years old when she came to the house and started working with Jamie.
Right. So Alida and Corey were married.
Yes.
They had Jamie, who had the cancer, and then they had the one daughter,
Jessa.
younger daughter, Jessa. That was their daughter together. Then they hired Amanda, and Amanda started coming to the house all the time, spending time with the girls, and essentially becomes like part of the family.
Exactly. And then Alida and Corey divorced a few years. I don't know when they divorced, but then a few years later after the divorce is when Amanda and Corey got together. Like, it didn't happen while she was there, and it didn't happen immediately after the divorce, which is a little odd, right?
My
It is
thought
odd.
on my thought on that is that something probably started with them right before they got divorced, and they probably had something going on for a little while afterwards, maybe not full time. I think they kinda had to wait a little bit for her to get a little older. That's what my thought processes was
I
about that.
agree with you because at some point Alita said she broke up my marriage. She did say that during this. So
Mhm.
I agree with you. Something was definitely going or something happened
Right. Something was
because
going
she
on.
said
I don't
she
think there
broke up my
was
marriage.
Yeah, I don't think there was totally nothing, and then all of a sudden, a couple years later,
They
they
just
got
bump
together
into
again.
each other.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And there was a 12, like you said, there's a 12-year age difference between Amanda and Corey.
Right.
So in 2005, we find out that Corey's father had died by suicide
He was
Yeah,
young
when
when
he
he
was
was
young.
young. But why did we find that out in 2005?
because the brother, the guy who became his big brother, like he went into a big
Jack.
brother program. That
Jack.
guy
Jack was his
is
name.
telling the story
Oh, okay.
of how he
Okay.
met Corey.
Okay. Yep. That's right. I was like, wait a
And he
second. Why?
says, I didn't know anything about his first wife, but my impression of Amanda was that he just doted on her.
Right. And then we also find out after that, after the big brother Jack starts talking, that Lisa and Steve didn't know that Alita even existed, which is
Well,
odd since there was the stepdaughter.
no, they knew she existed. I think the guy said that, like, he didn't the big brother, he said that, like, I didn't even know because Lisa said Amanda painted Alita as a negligent mother
Yes.
because
Yes.
Okay.
they were going for full custody.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's right. That's right. And they were married, it says, I have it written down for 4.5 years. Corey and Alita were married for 4.5
Okay.
years. And Corey and Amanda won full custody of Jessa when she was 11. So,
Yeah, that
wow,
was kinda confusing for me,
that's
like,
crazy, right?
how'd they pull that one off?
Well, listen, when you hire you have the money to hire lawyers and you do the manipulative things that this woman Amanda clearly did, like inviting Alita's daughter Jamie to a cancer fundraiser function, and then putting it up there as like you did it together. Like she just went
Right.
there. She didn't go there with you. It wasn't like a big kumbaya moment. Like she just went because she's a cancer survivor, but she painted it as it, people can twist things. And obviously, Corey and Amanda are good at twisting things. And Alita,
Obviously.
sometimes you just can't compete with that.
Yeah, I can't imagine poor Alita losing custody of her daughter
I mean, they
at
had a whole
11 years
church
old.
fold for crying out loud.
Yeah,
Right,
They had
right.
an entire church fold. I hope that
Elise,
judge is kicking himself, that judge that gave them full custody after
I'm
what
sure.
happens, you
I'm
know?
sure, yeah.
Douchebag.
yeah, Elisa says that she thinks Amanda wanted to be Alita.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like a single white female thing, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So after she lost custody of Jessa, that's when Nancy contacted her, Alita. And she was able to help fact check, some of her posts and was also in contact with her daughter Jessa because it's her daughter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And
there was
Jamie, Alita's daughter Jamie said she never looked sick. Amanda
yeah.
never looked sick.
Right.
And there were actual days when Amanda posted that she was at some type of treatment, and Jessa, her stepdaughter,
Would say
said
no.
no because she was home.
Right.
So
Yeah.
So one of the supporters, Angie, she was also a cancer survivor, and Amanda had shared on her blog post that Angie donated $730, her entire commission check, to Amanda. And when Nancy read this, she was heartbroken. And then she reached out to Angie and to let her know what she was working on. And Angie felt sick, and she's like, she didn't want to know the truth. She didn't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Nancy also finds out that during this whole time that Corey and Amanda filed bankruptcy because of her medical expenses.
This is wild.
Right.
This is wild. And chapter 7, right? Did they say that?
I didn't write
I
that
believe
down.
so. Yeah, I
I
believe so.
think they said that. And I mean, maybe, the laws are different, but in, the state of New Jersey, you typically have to, unless it's a business or, I guess I don't know a lot because I don't work on the files, but typically when you own a home, you have to file a chapter 13 and pay your debtors back because you have equity in your home.
Mm-hmm.
Well, these were my questions. Oh, my question with that whole thing was, if you're gonna file bankruptcy for something, don't you have to provide those medical bills?
Yes.
You have to provide everything.
So then
Yes.
You
how
have to provide you have to put a price tag on the item of clothes you own. You have to tell them what your furniture is worth. You have to tell them everything.
So then my question is this, how was that bankruptcy proceeding a thing? Because she didn't have cancer. So what kind of medical bills could she have presented?
Maybe false ones, or maybe she didn't include her medical bills and she just got rid of like unsecured debts like credit card.
I don't know.
I don't
That's
That
know
was
either.
my
probably what
question.
she did. That's probably what she did. And it says that she claimed bankruptcy, or even if it said she filed bankruptcy, it didn't say that it was granted.
That's true.
Okay.
That's
Anybody
true.
can anybody can file
Sorry.
anything, especially in a court, but whether or not it's granted is another thing, right? So
I mean, it comes up at the end though. So she must have been cleared from some debt if they were able to use it against her at the end.
Yes. Yes. What do I have next? So then the other girl we meet is that girl Lindsay,
Yeah.
who was following the hashtag Team Amanda, and she didn't have a ton of money, but she knew that she had a high platelet count and she was a good platelet donor. So she would post about it every time, and that she was going to donate this hashtag Team Amanda. And Amanda wrote about her on her blog. Again, just another person like taking time out of their life to help somebody they don't even know.
Right. And promote your support Amanda.
Yes, yes.
Right. And what I thought was particularly horrible about this person that's presented as a supporter is that she was somebody who met Amanda through the church. And when this girl had initially gone to church, she was an atheist. And
Mhm.
she went to
Yes.
this big church and really kind of, it opened her up to God. Amanda was the first person that this person actually prayed for. So it just adds another layer of like total ick.
For sure.
Yeah. Then we also find out that Alita's parents were a member of this FCC church, and they were there the day that Corey and Amanda were brought up on stage. And they felt like they were taking advantage of the church, but then they saw how much people loved and supported them. So they were like, okay.
Mm.
Which, I mean, Alita's parents should have, I don't know. It just blows my mind that wasn't, a red flag right there. Like that didn't make it into the court proceedings when they're trying to take custody of her child away from her.
Right.
Yeah. Did you
Right.
actually see her? They show clips of her on the stage of her church doing
Mm-hmm.
these, almost like this TED talk
Yeah.
about, herself
Yeah.
having terminal cancer and, relying on God and Jesus is always watching and this whole shittery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you better be scared, girl. Jesus is always watching.
Well, that's what I was thinking to myself. I was thinking, boy, you know what? The word is going to come back.
Exactly. Like, what are you doing?
What are you
Right.
doing? Yeah.
100%. Like we
She
always
doesn't
say.
truly believe. That's why.
That's why.
Yeah. And then Amanda starts telling everyone that Alita hired Nancy to make their life
Investigative reporter,
miserable.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because Nancy called San Jose police in 15 and she
Right.
got Detective Jose Martinez
Mm-hmm.
and
From financial crimes, right?
Yes.
he's saying it's hard to prove,
Well, because of HIPAA laws, you
Right.
can't just delve into somebody's medical
You
history.
cannot.
Right.
So it
You
becomes a
cannot.
very difficult thing to disprove,
Right.
Right.
and
But what
you can't just say, I think she's lying about having cancer, because if she
Right.
does, it's not cool.
So Jose Martinez was very reluctant to, even investigate this, but because Nancy was so persistent, he, finally kind of gave in. And that's how episode 2 ends. Then the next episode is called Stage 3, The Wheels of Justice. And that's where he starts out with, how do you prove it? So he called the Leukemia Society and, they said, why would anyone fake cancer? Which is what everyone would say. Like, why would anyone fake cancer?
Right.
He asked them what was their criteria for having someone be the face of your organization, because she was. And
He was
solicit
calling like leukemia and cancer support
the Cancer Society, Leukemia Society.
organizations. Yeah.
Right. Because she was the face of the organization and soliciting donations.
Right. And he's saying, what's the criteria that you have to meet? And they can't
Right.
answer that. You're giving money to somebody who's just telling you they are sick. I mean, obviously you want to believe them, but I mean, they don't have to prove anything to you and you're just handing them money?
Well, especially, too, it's like, so you're allowing this person to work and, to use the name of your organization linked with them, but you don't necessarily know whether they
I think
truly
she
have
was
cancer or
soliciting
not.
donations for their organization as well.
Right,
That's why they
right.
wouldn't answer. It was they
Right.
were getting money as well.
Yeah.
Or
Well, I
were
gotta be
they?
honest with you. At some point, I'm like, is the church in on this?
Oh, really? You thought that? I never thought that.
For a split second, but then when I saw the son or son-in-law and he said because when Nancy tried to call the church or she went to the church, they weren't very forthcoming with anything. They weren't.
No, because they were still supportive of Amanda because Amanda had fleeced everybody.
Yeah.
No.
But
It's not often that people wanna say, "Oh, yeah, there's egg on my face, let me
right.
wipe it off." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right.
People
of
tend
course.
to be like, "Oh,
I mean, especially when you're asking an entire congregation to donate.
Right, you don't wanna be the one who's like I said, you don't want the egg on your face.
So this is also the episode where we find out in the fall of 2015, Amanda was still saying she was in the clinical trial at Columbia in New York City. And she said it was, like you said, the drug Keytruda, and it was getting close to Thanksgiving. And she said the doctor was so kind to allow her to stay home in California and administer the drug to herself using the PICC line,
Yeah, hello.
which, good thing Nancy was on the case at this point because,
Yeah.
she's the one who contacted the Columbia, and they wouldn't say, but they were not doing a clinical trial at that time. And she sent all that information over to Detective Martinez.
Yeah, like they confirmed there's no way we would ever allow someone to self-administer a
Right.
clinical trial.
And then the Detective Martinez went to the church and tried to lay out the possibility that Amanda was scamming them. So it
Well,
wasn't
that's
even
right. He went. It wasn't
yeah,
Nancy.
it
Yes.
wasn't Nancy. And, he went to the pastor, but he deferred him to his daughter, who was an attorney. So
Right.
I get that. You have a detective coming and you don't, I get it. I get why,
Yeah.
They don't wanna be culpable for all this
Right.
money that their parishioners have been
Right.
shelling out to her, so
Right.
hence, they're like,
Yeah.
no."
So then Amanda obtained an attorney, and the attorney contacted him, Detective Martinez. And Detective Martinez said, I have just one question. Does she have cancer? If you could provide me with proof, then I will let this go. A few weeks later, he received a letter from the attorney with a letter from a doctor that said she had cancer. I mean, I don't know what kind of attorney this is.
He says the doctor said that he treated her for cancer, but it did say something like, I didn't write it down, but it did insinuate that she was no longer being treated for cancer.
Right. So Detective Martinez starts investigating the letter and discovered it was fraudulent. And he said, now we have a case. Now we have a
So the
case.
doctor who sent that to the doctor, this is how I understood it. The doctor that sent the letter from that doctor, he did treat her for something, just not cancer,
Just not
right?
cancer. Right.
Is
I
that
think
how
that
you took it?
is
So that
correct.
the letter was legitimate, but they changed whatever diagnosis she was being treated for
Right.
to cancer.
Right.
So it's not like a doctor rendered a fraudulent letter. They
They
changed.
doctored it.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. That's how I thought.
Yeah. Amanda doctored it and then sent it to the attorney who then sent it to the investigator.
Right.
So then he had another breakthrough in the case with the City of Hope Hospital, and they admitted that she had never been a patient there, which I'm
So I think
surprised.
that
But
they
that's
can do.
yes, because
Yeah.
there's no HIPAA
If they weren't there,
if they weren't
Right.
there. You're not giving any medical information out.
Right.
because there's none to give.
If you call a hospital and say, "Can I, be sent to so and so's room," and nobody's there, they can say, "I'm sorry, we don't have anybody in our database with that name,"
With that name.
So I guess it's the same thing.
Right, exactly. So then the investigator, Nancy, she's talking to her father-in-law who used to work for the IRS, and he says, "Why don't you pursue wire fraud?" And
I'll
then
tell
it's
you what, this blew me away.
yep,
That
now it's a
blew
federal
me
case.
away. When they said wire fraud because of the payments she was receiving through her website, I was like, "Holy shit." Because think about the 2 things, not to bring it back to Real Housewives of New Jersey, people,
But it always comes.
but you know I'm gonna. The 2 things that Teresa Giudice and Joe Giudice served time for were 2 of many: wire fraud and the concealing assets in a bankruptcy case.
Bankruptcy. Yes, yes.
I mean, that blew me away, this one.
So then we meet Arlette Lee, and she is the IRS criminal investigator. And she called up Nancy, and she saw how passionate she was about this whole case. And her and Detective Martinez, they went to the state's attorney's office, and that they agreed to open the case. So
Then the IRS took over the
then
case.
the IRS took over the investigation, and they're going to run with it, which is better because you'd rather have,
Yeah.
you'd rather have the bigger arm of the law. You'd rather have the federal.
Because I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, they were able to access medical records.
Yes.
Sure.
Arlette subpoenaed every medical facility she
Yes.
documented
Right.
in her
They
blogs to
subpoenaed every
see
treatment
if
facility.
she had been treated at any of them for cancer. There was nothing in her medical files that said she had cancer or even had been treated for cancer.
Nothing. No findings of cancer in any records.
Right. So then, Arlette says, you wonder, what kind of person goes to these lengths to fake cancer? What was going on in her life before? So then that's the next question that they start to answer. So now we find out that, well, we knew this. She grew up in Southern California. I did not know that she taught special education.
No,
I
me
didn't know
neither.
she was a teacher. How did she go from 17 years old, helping Jamie?
Well, she was in college when she did that.
Right.
So
That's
she was
right.
in college.
She was
So
in
she probably
college.
graduated college, became a teacher.
Okay. And then I guess married Corey. So she was the special education teacher. The next person we meet is Trisha, and Trisha was Amanda's friend since the 6th grade. They were childhood friends. And she remembers that, Amanda would make up little lies here and there, nothing, nothing that meant anything. She won all
Right,
these trophies.
but they were constant. A
Yes.
constant supply of small lies,
Right.
constant.
So the question comes up again, why isn't Amanda's mom around? So Amanda's mom is Peggy, and Peggy was there for Rebecca. Rebecca's her friend that was taking took the photographs of her pregnancy and her wedding, and the one that donated $500 a month, right? Peggy was there for Rebecca when her mom was diagnosed with cancer, correct?
No, it wasn't her boyfriend.
Right. It was her
Yeah, it was
boyfriend.
her
She
Okay.
boyfriend.
started dating some guy, and then
That's
right
right.
after that, he was diagnosed with cancer.
That's right. And then shortly after that, right, 2 months into the relationship, he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Yeah. And he
And then
passed away.
right. So then she's friends with Peggy, and she finds out that her daughter has stage 4. So
Who is
that's how
Amanda. Right.
right, who's Amanda, exactly. So that's how she gets even involved with Amanda and does the pictures and donates $500 a month.
Is she the one that said, "I thought it was odd that here Amanda is raising money for treatment and her mother is looking for investment properties to buy"?
Yes. Yes.
So there was certainly some serious red flags with her mother.
Yes.
I think her mother was in on it from the beginning. I think the whole
I
deal was
100% agree with you.
is that
Yes.
Amanda grew up in a household. I think that Amanda's mother was younger. She was a younger mom. She was a young mom. And even in Amanda's blog, her mother is on there, but her mother doesn't want to be identified as grandma. Her mother wants to be identified as goddess because she felt that saying grandma made her look too old. So I think Amanda has had to compete with her mother her whole entire life. And I think that her mother was in on it.
I agree with that. I think the mother was completely, at least she knew. She knew the truth.
Well, she hadn't. How could she not know the truth,
Right.
No,
right?
listen, she said she went to treatments with Amanda and she
She did say
didn't.
that.
Right.
So
And
she
she
was
also
totally in
said
on
she
it.
would take care of the blog when Amanda couldn't.
Right.
She was
And she
totally
did.
in on it. She was totally in
You're
on it.
right. You're right.
But I think that was part of where her, you know, I don't know if somebody who's a narcissist is born that way, but I don't think that her relationship with her mother helped at all.
Right.
No, it definitely didn't. And that's where it goes back to like what kind of person does this?
Mhm.
This is the kind of person that does this, who grew up with a mother who was either absent or competing with her or whatever it was. Like this is the kind of person. We also find out that Arlette, the federal investigator, when this case came to her, her twin sister had stage 4 colon cancer,
Mhm.
and she fought it for a long time, 9 years. And she passed in November 29th of 2023. So again, someone who this is so close to and so personal, this cancer, like it's just, I get chills every time I think about like someone being able to make this up and get up every day and continue with this lie.
I know. Especially about that. Like,
Yes.
come on.
But looking back on the whole situation, I have questions. Like she
Excuse me.
I guess
Bless
they
you.
said that
Thank you.
she would go to the ER all the time,
Yes.
different things in different cities. Again, her husband had to be in on it.
Absolutely.
You don't
Absolutely.
have 3 children at home and can just run off and go to, ER that's 40 minutes away, 50 minutes away, an hour away, all these different runarounds, all these different ERs, so you can take pictures of yourself all hooked up to shit and, slap a beanie on your head and pretend you have no hair and slap it on your blog.
Let me tell you something. The lengths you have to go through in this house to go to the ER, because we have a $175 copay every time you
Yeah,
go to
you didn't
the
go.
ER. You better be bleeding from your fucking eyes or it's
Absolutely.
not happening.
Or you're not going. Right.
So the fact that she did, because I thought the same thing. I'm like, but where are these pictures coming from?
Yeah.
And when they said that, she would just go to the ER and make something up just to get the pictures. I'm like,
Just to get the pictures.
she
Just
must
this
not have a $175 copay.
She must not. She
Or
must
she's
not.
not worried about it because other people are paying it for her.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really is.
It's like a full-time job keeping
I
this
mean,
hoax up.
she went to the extent that she must have gotten, like, fake blood, and there's, because my mother had a port for her cancer on her chest, and a port is like an opening that they have this little thing that goes on there, and then instead of going and receiving an IV treatment through your arm, you receive your treatment through your port. So it's covered up with a clear bandage, and then when you're ready to use it, they take that bandage off, they flush it out, and
Can
then
you
they put
shower?
yeah, and then they put your medication in through that port. So she went to the lengths to must have gotten some fake blood. She had the the port itself stuck on her skin with the clear adhesive bandage over it, and even went to lengths to like turn the blood like a dark color and say that the port was infected and had pictures of herself with this thing on
Yeah.
her chest,
Yeah.
Insanity.
which just the port itself is just so it's just such a little thing. I mean, I know it's horrible to even say that you're faking cancer, but to fake the port, it's just like, what?
Yeah, like this is traumatic for people.
Definitely.
Like this is their life. This is what they're dealing with.
And
Like
like
our good
they
friend deals with this. Like this is, not it's not okay to I mean, it's just not okay on so many levels.
no, and they like they say in the program, the daughter that they got custody of, Amanda and her husband, the daughter that they got custody of, it was Amanda's stepdaughter. This poor kid is thinking,
Mm.
my stepmother has months to live. She's got cancer. It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. I mean, who does that to their kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their
And what
own
about the other 2 sons?
and their other 2
Exactly.
kids, right? Who does that to the children? And it even went so far as to say she even went so far as to take it to telling the children that they would possibly have to do bone marrow treatments for her.
Yes.
Like, who
I mean,
does
that's
that?
crazy.
It's
That's
cuckoo town.
crazy.
Cuckoo town. But it's crazy how, someone will go to that lengths for attention. So I think for the husband, he was in it for the financial gain. I think for her, I think the mother too was in it for the financial gain. But I think for Amanda, I think she was in it totally for the attention.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was for her it was the attention. I
And
think
I
that's how
don't
it
know,
started out.
as the case progresses and goes to trial, I don't know how she was never formally diagnosed with the Munchausen syndrome. Because Munchausen is when you do things to yourself. By proxy is when you do it to
To
someone
someone
else.
else. Right.
So I just
But I don't think she has Munchausen. I think this was just a scam to make money. I think there really are people out there suffering with Munchausen where they're constantly convinced that they're ill, or by proxy, they're constantly convinced that their children are ill. But that they really believe that they are ill. She knew she wasn't ill. She was just scamming people out of money.
she was just scamandating.
She was.
Right. Right. I mean, there
And
was
she
on the
doubles down. She doubles down after this investigation.
well, in the middle of it, like she knew that they were onto her.
Yeah, and she starts writing about it in her blog.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she did.
But
And
that's what makes me, and I'm not defending her in any way, but that's what makes me kind of think that, yes, she was in it for the attention. Yes, she was in it for the financial gain. But I think there has to be some kind of mental illness there
I think the
to not
mental
only
illness
do it,
is
but to continue to push the narrative when it's not feasible.
I
But she
think the mental
continued to push it.
illness is narcissism where she
Yes.
never thought she was gonna get caught, and she thought she was just gonna get away with it.
Yeah, okay.
That's
well,
what I thought.
I mean, there is in this episode a Dr. Judy Ho, who is a clinical forensic psychologist, and she's admitted that she never evaluated Amanda. But, speaking generally, Munchausen syndrome, she did speak of it, and she said it is a mental disorder. Listen, I think if she could have used that as her defense, then there would have been somebody.
Right.
But she only got 5 years anyway. So
Yeah.
what would that have got her? Would have that, I mean,
Right.
I don't know.
But she knew she wasn't sick. Munchausen, you really think you're sick.
No, no, no,
No.
no, no. No, you don't. No, no, no. You know you're not sick. You're doing it for attention.
Even that
That's what Munchausen is?
Yeah,
Yes.
even
Yes.
Munchausen by
I
proxy.
thought
Yes.
Munchausen, you really thought you were ill.
No, no, no,
No.
no. You fake
You
illness.
know you're not ill.
No, you're
Yeah.
faking it. No, you're
You're
faking it.
faking
You
it.
know that you're
Yeah.
not ill.
Okay. Okay.
No, you
Right.
know that
That's
you're
what I'm
not.
saying.
No.
Even the Munchausen by proxy, you keep taking your kid to the ER because you pushed him down the steps. It's not like you keep taking him to the ER because you really think that the kid's sick, even though there's no symptoms. It's
Okay.
No,
yeah.
it's fake. You're faking it. You're faking it.
So maybe in some kind of legal defense way, her not getting officially diagnosed with the Munchausens was good because then she couldn't use that in her defense.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. But it's interesting because as I was watching this and I was thinking, like, how do you get to this point? reminded me of Gypsy Rose with what her mother did to her,
Mhm.
which was the Munchausen by
By
proxy.
proxy,
Yeah.
right.
Right? And it's like, how do people do this? But it's a mental disorder. It is it's mental illness. It is.
It's
I don't
definitely mental illness.
Yeah.
It's that attention-seeking thing. Like,
Right.
Amanda, I think that's what happened because that's what she came into contact with. She came into contact with it with her, her husband's first daughter had the cancer. She
Right.
came into
That's where she
contact
came up with the idea. Yeah.
Right, she came up with it then. Then she meets this older couple, and the lady tells her about a fundraiser, and she's like, "Okay," and then I think it just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're absolutely
And
right.
then we find out that she actually moves away, right? Doesn't she move like 40 minutes away?
Wait. We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Okay.
That's stage 4. We're not there yet.
Oh,
But
okay, we're not
yes.
there yet.
Yes. But
Yes.
before we get there, Arlette, the investigator, she felt so bad for Alita because she had just lost the custody of Jessa. And Alita had to pay thousands of dollars in child support. Not only did she lose custody, she had to pay thousands of dollars in child support. And
Yeah. What the? That's
I know.
fucking crazy.
It's crazy.
So
It is
that's
absolutely
why they
crazy.
did it.
That's
They
why
did
they
it
did it,
to get money
to get
from
the
her.
money. Mhm.
Right.
It's
For the child
crazy.
support, they did it.
Yeah.
So they got full custody of Jessa, and she had to pay them child support.
Child support, right. And because Arlette was doing the investigation, she really couldn't share anything with Alita of, what was going on. But Alita found out that there was going to be a raid, like indirectly.
They were working on a search warrant,
Right.
which
That they
takes,
were, right.
For something like this, I would imagine takes a long time.
Right. So they were sitting out in front. They had cameras ready and waiting, and they were sitting out in front of Amanda's house, like when this was going down. And she said, Alita said, because she was there, that Amanda was not nervous at all. That's how episode 3 ends. Then episode 4 is called Stage 4, Catch Me If You Cancer. So that starts on September 16. Now we're in 2016, the day after the raid and the search warrant.
So this went on for 4 years, her milking people for money.
Well, if you think about it, it went on since 2010 when she,
Right.
first took
told
money from
Linda.
Lisa.
Yeah.
Lisa,
But
yeah.
she
Lisa,
didn't
call
put it
her
out there
Lisa.
to the public.
Right, but she did get money from Lisa and
You guys
Steve.
can't get their name right, can you?
I know. I can't. It's too many people.
I know 2 couples that are married. Well, one's divorced, but Lisa and Steve. So when they said Lisa and Steve, I'm like, I'm never going to forget that. I know two Lisa and Steves.
So the day after the raid, Alita thought, okay, they're caught. This is over. But she was not under arrest. She didn't get. They just did the search warrant. She wasn't under arrest. So Jessa, at that point, was then back in her mom's custody. Thank God, right?
Yeah, because they went on a family cruise and there was too much drinking involved, and Jessa felt uncomfortable in a certain situation.
Well, listen, they come and raid your house. I'm pretty sure you can get custody back.
No,
Yeah.
but I think she had custody back before that, didn't
Before
she?
that?
No.
Or no?
No.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
don't think
Okay.
so. I don't think so because then
I thought the cruise was the reason she got custody back because of something that happened on the cruise.
I don't think that's enough to get custody switched.
Okay.
You gotta.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm not sure because I
Yeah,
do
I don't
remember
know.
them talking about the cruise.
Yeah.
But after the raid, she had her back. And at this point, Jess is now 13. And she was 11 when she lost her. Alita told Jessa what was going on with Amanda now that she had her back in her custody. And that's when Amanda told her that Jessa and her 2 brothers may need surgery to get the bone marrow to save her life. And that's, then hours after the federal agents leave the home, she posted on Facebook, it was Cancer Lymphoma Awareness Month. And she posted an old picture of herself, bald.
Just keeps
And
going.
she also
Just
posted
keeps
that
it going. It's
Yep,
amazing.
she also posted online that the IRS was after her for not paying taxes.
It was a tax issue.
Right.
With the money donated. She didn't realize.
Right. So then the church
Which
is
if
no
you
longer
did it everything the right way, you would have had a 501c3 or something like that, and you wouldn't have
Right.
had to pay tax.
Exactly. The church is now no longer supporting her, and I don't know why or how, but Nancy finds out that now she's going to be a principal at another school called the Pacific Point Christian School. So they moved 40 minutes away. Yep.
The, FBI raid.
After the raid.
Yeah.
So this is what I don't get, though. I'm sorry. The lengths you have to go to be a CCD teacher. No background checks for her to become a principal. You don't know that this woman's under federal investigation.
Well, it's
you know what?
first of all,
It's a small Christian school.
right.
It's probably
Maybe
like
they
a
didn't.
charter school, so there's probably not many
I don't
laws that
think
they have to follow.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, I
think it was
shouldn't
a
say
s-
that. I don't know what laws are involved with charter schools, but
Right.
you're right.
It was a
It's
small
probably
school,
just
I
a
think, yeah.
tiny private
Mhm.
gig. And
Mhm.
right.
And she started teaching there and then worked her way up to be the principal.
No, I don't think she
No.
started teaching there. She moved there to be the principal.
Yep. I think
thought
she
she-
just got the job as principal.
Yes. She did not start teaching there. No. She just moved there to be the principal, which,
Yeah.
She hadn't been working. She had cancer. It just blows my mind that I can't even imagine what that resume looked
Yeah,
like,
like
but I'm
not
sure.
for nothing, but you're hiring somebody to be a principal. She hasn't even taught in how many years?
Right. That's what I'm saying. I can't
Yeah, I don't
imagine what
know.
her resume looked like, but whatever it was, I'm sure it was fake.
Exactly.
Yep.
Sorry.
Kelly's
okay.
headphones just totally
I
slipped away.
have drank some wine,
There you go.
It's okay.
like half a bottle.
Oh, good. You go.
Good for you.
I'm going to finish it when we're done.
All
Well,
right.
good. It's Saturday night.
It is Saturday night. Thank you, Jesus.
There you go. You do you. So then we hear from one of the parents at this school, Natalie, and she said when she was hired, everyone loved her. Her daughter loved her. She was charming. She was charismatic. There were no red flags. Then another parent, Rebecca, said that there was a fundraiser for another teacher that was there whose cancer came back.
Miss Cindy.
Yep. Soon after that, Amanda announced that her cancer was back.
What a coincidence.
At it again.
So now the school is doing a fundraiser for Miss Cindy and Mrs. Riley.
And poor Miss Cindy has to split all her, may she rest in peace,
Money.
all her fundraising money with
Scamanda.
Scamanda.
Yep. So then we find out that Miss Cindy has passed away. And they find out that Mrs. Riley was being investigated for fraud. And the parents and the children at the school were upset, of course, because they felt like they'd been duped. And they had.
And they have.
So Amanda then files a restraining order against Nancy.
The investigative
It's interesting
reporter,
because in New Jersey, you can't file a restraining order against somebody you're not in a domestic relationship.
It was weird, right?
Yeah.
So it took Nancy thousands of dollars and months to have her day in court, but she won. I mean, she wasn't doing anything. Now we're at July of 2020. I mean, can you believe that we're in 2020? This started in
It's been
2010.
going on.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
elaborate.
exactly.
It's elaborate.
Yeah.
Amanda has been indicted, and this is what she did. All the people that donated on the Amanda website were receiving emails that they were the victim of fraud.
Yeah, emails from the IRS.
IRS.
Mm-hmm.
So Rebecca was shocked when, and she called Peggy because Rebecca's the one that was $500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So she called Amanda's mother.
Right. She called her mother, and Peggy said, "What's going on?" Peggy said, Amanda, she's sick.
I've been at appointments with her.
Right.
So
And
she
so then Peggy,
yeah. She convinced one of Amanda's last holdouts of supporters
right.
that, this is all a big misunderstanding. Amanda's sick. I've gone with her to these, treatments. She definitely has cancer. And this poor woman was like, okay, I, kind of totally, even though she just got a letter
Right. From the IRS.
from the
Right.
IRS saying or getting scammed,
Right.
she's still because because she was friends with the mother, and then she believed the mother because the mother said, no, come on, this hasn't to be a mistake. This is not, I've gone with her to treatments.
So
Crazy.
then Rebecca calls Amanda and says, "Well, what do I do with this?" Amanda said, "You can go with me to my next doctor's appointment."
This was crazy.
So it gets better. The day before the doctor's appointment, she gets a call. And because of COVID protocol, because like I said, we're in 2020,
Yeah.
she couldn't go with her, but she'd be able to FaceTime her.
Yeah,
Rebecca Rebecca
Amanda says you
completely
can't come with me, but
right,
Amanda
FaceTime
says,
you.
"I will FaceTime you when I get there."
I mean,
During the
the
appointment.
timing really worked out for Amanda with COVID.
Right.
Most definitely.
And Rebecca's like, "Okay, I completely understand." Right? So during her appointment, she screenshot it and she sent it to all of her friends, and she said she's really going through treatment
Yeah, because Amanda must have went to the ER again,
or wherever she
or
went,
wherever she
right?
went,
Yep.
some kind of urgent care, whatever, and she FaceTimed
Right.
her friend
Yep. And
with,
she
an
screen
IV
recorded it.
pole and a nurse in the background, and
Yep.
Yeah.
crazy.
So then
So crazy.
the producer asks Rebecca, like, when did you finally figure out she was lying? And she said, when she pled guilty. Oh my God.
Poor girl.
I know.
But I think it's also a testament to the lengths that this woman, Amanda, went to make it plausible.
You know, we all have people in our lives that they can spin stories. We all know, but they're very charming, right? Like you're
Right.
Well, listen, a lot of serial killers are extremely charming also, but
right.
that's what makes them successful in their duplicity is that they're highly charming, deceptive people.
The truth does always come out. It's always a slow burn. So even if you realize it sooner and it takes other people a longer time, it happens.
Right. Right. So Arlette said she was charged with wire fraud and bankruptcy fraud charges. Corey was not charged, but they think he's a part of it, and he's been a part of it all along. Lindsay attended every Zoom trial. She was another one of the victims.
Yeah, and she gave a victim impact statement.
Yes.
Yeah.
The sentencing hearing was a wonderful day for justice. I don't think it was. There were a lot
No,
of
I
people
don't think so either.
that had been scammed by Amanda. Lisa said, I wanted the judge to know that she had done this before and she would do it again.
And the judge said that. The judge said he thought because they proposed, 18 months?
Yes.
And he said, no, she's going to do it
Just-
again. And he
Yep.
gave her 60 months, which is 5 years, but she's not serving.
No, she's already
and that's
out.
the messed
Right.
up part.
She's out. Yeah.
Is
She's
that she
out.
only ended up having to serve 2 years
2
of her
years.
sentence in an actual correctional facility, and then got transferred to somewhere else in California that was like a halfway house.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Right.
Which was bullshit.
Yes.
Yeah, it is bullshit. It really is bullshit. So this whole ABC series was based on a podcast, which I didn't know until after I watched it. So
Uh-huh.
after court, Charlie, who was there, like kind of narrating this show, had followed her, Amanda, out and gave her business card. Well, that night, Amanda texted her and she said, you were very polite and courteous. And if she wanted to talk, to reach out. So they kind of built this relationship from September of 22 to May of 2023. And that's when then she released the podcast. And Amanda was not able to listen to the podcast in prison, but her mom and Corey told her that she was objective in the way that she told her story, and that Charlie is now hopeful that she'll allow me to tell more of her story. So that means that I don't know. Maybe it says Charlie Webster is waiting to do a video call with Amanda in prison, and she doesn't want it recorded, but she's not in prison anymore. So
Well,
maybe
she
once
did. She did do the video call.
Yeah, she did the
Yes.
video call with her.
Yeah. And she said that she did say that some of the money raised went towards Corey's divorce from Alita and
their
child support.
Yeah, that's child support.
And that's complete bullshit
Yeah.
because they had full custody.
Right.
They weren't
and
paying anybody child support.
Right, and it went towards, all their legal fees from trying to get full custody of Jessa. So she just tried to put a spin on it, which is just bullshit.
It's disgusting.
It really is disgusting.
And they're getting divorced.
They're getting
Big
divorced.
fucking shocker there.
Yeah. And he now lives in Texas with the 2 kids.
He's got the 2 boys.
And he lives in Texas with them. Yeah.
I'm sure he had to go somewhere where hopefully nobody really knew. I mean, listen, I had no idea who they were until we decided to do this podcast.
Uh-huh.
I hope he went somewhere where people don't know who he is, because I'd have,
Well, I
if somebody
certainly hope so.
moved in next door to me and I found out that they were
Right.
Corey from Scamanda, I'd be like,
Right. Well,
yeah, we're not.
I certainly hope that for the children
Yeah.
because
That's what
who
I
wants
mean. Yeah.
who wants that? So
Right.
it should be interesting to see if she ends up like a Gypsy Rose, like a
I
F-list
don't think so.
celebrity, you know?
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so either. I
No,
think
because I
people
think people are
sympathized
over
with
it.
Gypsy Rose. Nobody's sympathizing with this one.
I sympathize with Rebecca. So, Rebecca was the one that gave her I would probably say the most amount of money. And, she really wanted an explanation. So, a few days before she went to jail, Amanda texted her, "Hi, Rebecca, how are you doing? I'm really sorry it took me so long to get back to you. I'm struggling, and honestly, I don't know where to start or even what to say. There's a lot of malicious things happening. I don't know who to trust. This was never a premeditated fraud or scam.
Yeah, hello.
Corey's ex-wife partnered with a reporter. The money did pay for medical needs. I'll be paying every penny of it back." Rebecca still doesn't believe her. She will never trust Peggy or Amanda again.
Well, it was a double whammy for her because she was friends with Amanda's mother and then
Yeah.
Right.
Amanda. So she had
Yeah.
2 people that she was friends with totally betray her,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Charlie doesn't think that Amanda sat down and masterminded this plan, but she was wondering where she came up with the idea about cancer,
What
which
do you mean she didn't mastermind it?
I know.
This is not something you do on the fly.
No.
No.
Well, what I believe in regards to this person, Charlie, approached Amanda after court because she wanted to make a podcast. So
Yeah.
I think she is trying to
Continue it.
she's trying to walk the middle ground and not piss off Amanda. So
Right.
she's not saying anything that is over the top negative towards Amanda. She's not pro Amanda, but she's not non Amanda. She's trying
Right.
to walk the tightrope so that when she gets out, she can have the first dibs on interview, future podcast, blah, 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 blah. She's just looking out for her money. That's how
Yeah.
I saw that.
I agree with that. Amy has been cancer-free for almost 20 years. Corey filed for divorce in January of 2024, and producers made reported attempts to contact Corey Riley along with Corey's and Amanda's families, but they did not respond. Oh, imagine that.
Right.
Amanda declined to be interviewed for the series. She gave a statement that her brothers and parents had nothing to do with the events that put her in prison. No one else has been charged in connection with Amanda's case. And this is where, in late December 2024, Amanda was released from prison in Texas and transferred to a residential reentry center in Southern California to carry out the remainder of her sentence.
Bullshit.
Yeah,
And
so
that's,
only 2 years in an actual correctional facility
yeah.
for faking cancer, stealing money.
And wasn't it over $100,000,
Oh,
like
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
$106,000 or
Oh,
Oh,
something?
yeah.
yeah, wait, yeah,
I
because
think it was way more than
Well,
that.
I think it's way more than that
I
too.
think that was direct donations through the website,
Right.
monetary donations. That's aside from what
Everything else.
everything else, which was
Cash and
probably
gifts.
just worth just as much.
Right,
College
cash
Probably
and
double
yeah.
that.
gifts,
Yeah.
not included in that. I mean, she got invited to concerts, she had,
Leanne Rhymes.
LeAnn Rimes, she had, like, autographed guitars, she
Mhm.
had, experiences, all kinds of just madness
Yeah.
that anybody would do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a crazy story. And, I hope we kind of recapped it for you so you don't have to watch it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a lot going on, but I think it was a fun watch.
Yeah.
Once the second episode aired
Yeah, once it
and you
started to
got the
get moving.
background with the ex-wife,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and that
mean,
was like, "Boo."
then you're
Yeah.
like, I'm in. I'm all
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we shall see what happens with her.
All right. If you guys could let us know what else you'd like us to cover besides Bravo or Real Housewives, if there's something else that's going on that you want us to, give us a comment, send us an email, go on our website, let us know what you want us to talk about, because we will.
We sure will.
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
All
thank
right.
you for watching and listening. Good night.
Bye.
Right.